Hello, Star Citizens, and welcome to day 5 of IAE 2954. And it looks like it's RSI day. I mean, I hope you got your Constellation Phoenix. They normally don't run out very fast, so the Constellation Phoenix is one of those ones you normally can just get when it comes out. So I hope you got one if you wanted one. Me personally, mine's in buyback and it's just waiting for me to go ahead and upgrade it. But yeah, welcome. As always, if you're subscribed, consider hitting that join button and getting that 25% chance of winning our Star Lancer tech that we're giving away this month. Otherwise, if you're not subscribed, this is the best time to subscribe, because next month, if you're not subscribed this month, you're gonna have a hard time winning that prize. So yep, get subscribed. This is the best time to do it, because our next month's prize is gonna be pretty awesome. And this month's prize, the Star Lancer tech, is pretty awesome too. And of course, as always, make sure you like or dislike, leave a comment, and of course, if you're subscribed, you qualify for those things. All right, so yeah, Robert Space Industries doesn't need much introduction, but this is a lot of ships. But I'm hearing that there's a price increase on the Polaris, so we're gonna see what that is. My guess is $100, but we'll see. Then we also have to see if there's anything new and see what the war bond is. Actually, let's start out with the war bond. Let's just get into it. All right, so this war bond, Constellation Aquila's $25. Yep, you gotta spend 15 to get a 25 off. It's kind of in a weird spot too, especially with the Mercury to Eclipse one that they gave. Like, you can't use both of those. So it's kind of in a weird spot. It's more so, use this if it works for you. If this upgrade works for you, I wouldn't get the medevac though. I would get down price. So Vanguard Sentinel. This is going to be a much more commonly available ship. You always want to lean more towards the combat ships when it's your from ship, because those are more often sold. At least twice a year, you're going to get those sold at least twice a year. Whereas some of the non-combat ships you might only see once a year. So yeah, it's better to get the combat ships when you can for your chains, unless you're trying to get something, you know, very unique. But yeah, $15 for a $25 savings. Yeah, not really great at all. I wish it was $10 or something like that. But I don't know if there's any $280 ships. So it would have probably been better for them to just do a $30 war bond, $30 or $40 war bond. But they're kind of stingy with the war bonds, it seems like, this year. There was 2 good ones, but now we're at 3 bad ones. So it's been less good. It's been less good this year. So we've only got 2 good ones this year. So there's your war bond stuff. All right. Not a great one, unless you want an Aquila, of course. If that's your final destination, that might be good. But other than that, not really feeling it. All right, let's get to these vehicles. Oh, great. We're starting with the Apollo medevac. I have to pick one of these up because this is my medical ship. So I decided that if you've been paying attention to my channel or watching my channel for a long time, then you know that I've decided recently that I was going to get away from the Galaxy and go towards having a dedicated medical ship rather than just a Galaxy with a medical port module in it. So yeah, I think the Apollo medevac, being able to switch out the beds and put in different combinations of beds based on whatever I'm going to do, I think is going to be much more useful. The fact that it comes with all those drones, and like the fact that it's a dedicated medical ship, I think I also think it'll be a lot faster than the Galaxy. So I just, for me, in a large fleet, it made more sense to have a dedicated medical ship rather than a modular ship. But why would I get the Apollo medevac over the triage? I mean, it's really close. It's really close. I mean, the Apollo medevac is $275. The Apollo triage is $250. These are just variants of each other. This is the dedicated medical ship. I think you could fit up to 6 beds in it, if I'm not mistaken. So you could have 6 tier 3 beds. You could have 4 tier 2s or 2 tier 1s or 6 tier 3s, or you can mix and match them just the ability to mix and match the beds, because I can imagine going with like, you know, one tier 1 bed and 2 tier 2 beds, you know, and, you know, just having like my dedicated surgery room over here. And then like most people are going to come with injuries that don't need dedicated surgery. So those people can go into the other 2 rooms. I feel like that's a really good way to do it. But I also think the ability to have the 2 tier 1s in a ship this size, I think is going to be really, really interesting, because I don't think any other ship's going to come along except the Endeavor that could have 2 tier 1s in it, and the Endeavor is going to be a much larger ship. And if you calculate the cost in order to get the medical variant of the Endeavor, it's going to cost a lot more too. So yeah, I like both of them. I think if I'm not mistaken, the medevac comes with slightly better weapons, and I think, or maybe it's missiles. It comes with something that's better with attacking, and then it comes with the better armor. So for me, I know I'm not as good of a pilot with the larger ships. So for me, I know I'm going to get hit more. So I'd rather just have the extra armor just in case. But from what I know, it doesn't have any real downgrades. It might end up being slower just for balancing, but if I had to guess, it wouldn't be much slower. So yeah, it's kind of, what do you want? The slightly better speed of the triage, or the slightly more armor and attack power of the medevac? That's what I think we're going to be dealing with here. But both are great ships. I absolutely love the way these ships look. I know for a fact that these 2 ships are 2 of a lot of people's favorite ships in the game. Like, there's people who think these ships are the best looking ships in the game, kind of this like Lamborghini-esque type of look. And one of the best things, I do think that these ships are coming this year. So like I said before in previous videos, I do think Star Citizen is moving towards the death of a spaceman thing, and I do think that CIG is going to talk about it a lot in CitizenCon 2955, I guess. 2955? Yeah, 2955. So yeah, the next CitizenCon, I think, is going to talk a lot about medical gameplay and Death of a Spaceman, and I think these are going to lead the charge. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was the first ship with drones that actually worked outside of base building. Now that they've got the base building drones, those are the first one we've technically seen operational, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is the first ship we get that has them, but we'll see. Then we have the Arrastra, yet another ship that I have added to the fleet. These 3, or I guess it's 2 out of these 3, but really it's these 2 ships. The one is a variant, right? But these 2 ships, after reviewing them, drastically changed my mind. See what this says: industry, mining, refining. It's missing cargo in there. This is a valid cargo ship, and it took me a while to realize that. But that the Galaxy has. The Galaxy has 5 uses as far as we know, and one seems like it's very far away as far as the construction. The Arrastra can do the refining better, and it looks like it can do the cargo better. And then I was like, so why would I get a Galaxy for that? I could get this, and then maybe I'll get some other module. And then I was like, I don't really need any of the other modules that it provides except for the medical. And then I was like, well, why wouldn't I just get an Apollo Triage, which is much more modular in itself, in its medical capability, and smaller and easier to fly and requires less crew, etc., etc. And then it started to become really weird that I had a Galaxy. I am now a believer in the Arrastra. Another part that made me choose the Arrastra is because initially I thought the Orion could go down to planets, or that it wouldn't need to land on planets. It could just go down and maybe float above and mine whatever. But it looks like it's not really going to be able to go in atmosphere that much at all. So yeah, that's what really pushed me to getting the Arrastra, because basically you need both if you want to do all encompassing versions of mining. So for me, when I need to go down to a planet and get as much stuff as humanly possible, without, doing the whole base building portion, I would take down the Arrastra. And if, you know, I get a base built and stuff like that, then maybe I don't need to do that. But one of the things that's going to be cool is I don't have to, as long as I have the Arrastra, I can go down, mine it, refine it, put it in a shop, or use it to create whatever components or whatever I'm building at the time. And that is what I love about it, because I can go get, the thing about if I put a mining station on a base, that can only mine whatever material is underneath it, and it doesn't refine it. On top of all that, it's probably only mining one thing, right? And even if it is mining multiple things, then it's able to separate it and everything. My biggest thing is I can't take that somewhere. Now I have to get a ship to move it and put it onto a ship, and now after putting it on a ship, I have to take it somewhere. Or even if I have all the capabilities there, I still have to move it from here to there. Whereas the Arrastra just cuts out the middleman. The Arrastra, I can mine it, refine it, and store it for cargo. Not only can I store it for cargo, I can take it to wherever it needs to go. And I just think having that line, that full vertical slice of mining gameplay, I think a lot of people are going to wish they had that if they don't. And the Orion has that for outside in space, and the Arrastra has it for pretty much anything you want to mine on the ground. So yeah, and it has, if I'm not mistaken, the Arrastra has this really cool like mining laser, or maybe it's a gun or something. I don't know if it was a mining laser or a gun, but it starts at the top and then it goes through, I think it's this one here. I think it like starts at the top and like it shoots through the ship and then it can come out the bottom. Whatever it is, it was mind-blowing. And also, this is one of the coolest ships that CIG has ever done as far as RSI. I think this is one of the best RSI looking ships in the game. But RSI is very quickly growing on me. I can't wait to do my favorite manufacturers again. And this time I'm going to do my favorite ship from each manufacturer. So yeah. And shout out to the streamers who gave me that idea. It was a really good idea. But yeah, I'm gonna do all of my favorites, and I think RSI is making a good case. All right, then we have the Auroras. So the CL, the ES, the LN, the LX, the MR, and that's it. All right, so. I can't even remember which one is which at this point. I really can't remember. The ES is the cheapest one. The CL I know has a little bit more cargo space. The LN I think is the fighter one. The LX just has like a leather seat and an extra nice pillow. And then the MR, I think it has better missiles. For me, get the cheapest one. This is one of those ships that you really should only be doing delivery missions in. I mean, maybe a few SU of cargo, but I would really just do missions in it long enough to buy something else. Now, that's just me. I'm not particularly a fan of the Aurora. I don't particularly like the way it looks or like the way it flies, but you know, it's one of the cheapest ships in the game. I think it is the cheapest ship in the game at $20, the ES. So, I mean, if you're just like, hey, I want to give a ship to my friend just so they can get from point A to point B, I think $20, I mean, that's like dinner, like a decent dinner these days. So like, just, you know, cook that day, eat ramen noodles or you know, whatever, cup of noodles or something cheap that day, and you can afford an Aurora ES. So that's the biggest thing that the Aurora has going for it is price. It's extremely cheap. But the reason I wouldn't buy anything over, I wouldn't buy, I think the MR, I think I would go with the MR or the ES just because of how cheap they are, because everything else, anything at the $45 mark, you should be getting a Drake cutter because the cutter is better in almost every way. So that's my opinion on all of the Auroras. I did do reviews on them, so if you want a more in-depth guide on like which one to get, just go to my Billionaire reviews the Aurora videos and stuff, and yeah, you'll see that. So Constellation Andromeda, $240. Constellation Aquila, which right now it's normally $315, but right now it looks like you can get it for $290. And then Constellation Phoenix, which is $350, and then the Connie Taurus. The Connie Taurus, absolute incredible ship. Size 5 weapons, great armor. It's got a little soft spot on the belly, but who cares? Just don't show your belly. And that goes for life in general. If you needed some guidance for life, don't show your belly is pretty solid guidance to go with. But at $200, it's completely worth the price. It's even went up in price, if I'm not mistaken, and it's still worth the price. It could go up another 50 and probably still be worth the price. It carries like 100 and something SCU. I think it's like 170 something SCU of cargo. It's got tractor beams. It's got an actual useful tractor beam, not just having a tractor beam. You can see there it has the VTOLs. It's a pretty ship. It's got a ton of skins. It's Chris Roberts got his name on these, so it's very, very possible that this ends up. Now, they did mention that the Connies aren't getting a complete rework. They are just getting an update. So there's probably not going to be a Mark 6 or whatever mark they're on. So if you were expecting them to do like a complete, this top is different, the bottom is different, they're not going to do that. They've pretty much confirmed that. What they're just going to do, I think, is bring the internals up to modern standards as far as usability and things like that. Filling in wasted spaces. There's a lot of just wasted space in some of these areas. And they could easily fix it. I don't think it's going to be that difficult. I think it's just, it's functional right now, so we'll leave it where it is for right now. But yeah, I could see certain things changing, especially as far as the living space and stuff like that. I could imagine some things kind of spreading out a little bit more. Maybe a little less walking space internally, making it a little bit more claustrophobic in there, just so you could fit a few more things in there. But we'll see. We'll see what that ends up being. But anyway, that's the cargo variant. And then we have the luxury variant. So going from the top, or from the bottom all the way up to the top. This one is stock limited. I don't know why it's stock limited, but it is. This one has a bar in it. It has a bar. I think this version comes with a piano, or a tub is coming in the future. This one has a double bed, and then it has 2 other beds, and then it has like a separate crew area. Yeah, it's really interesting when you look at these ships, because this one also comes with the P-72 and it comes with the Lynx, whereas this one doesn't come with, the Taurus doesn't come with anything. And then the Aquila comes with a P-52 and an Ursa. And then this one comes with a P-52 but no Ursa. And if I'm not mistaken, the Ursa is $50 or $55, so you're saving either $10 or $15 by getting an Andromeda, because you get the Ursa. But the Taurus, to me, is the better value, as far as, because I'd rather just buy the Ursa and just put it in the Taurus when I need it and take it out when I don't, and then have the Taurus have that availability. But this comes with the P-52. My bad. So the P-52 is actually $35. So you're actually paying a little bit more because the P-52. But the thing is, you don't have the ability to put a P-52 in the Constellation Taurus because it doesn't have the space for it at the back. So that's the weakness of the Taurus, if you want that. But I'm saying that if you're getting a Taurus, it should be because you're a dedicated hauler, or you just need to take a vehicle with you occasionally, and you need a very defensive ship that can shoot. But yeah, it's a really good ship. The Phoenix, I think, is it's one of the ships that I really like, just because I think its interior is really cool. It does have a lot of wasted space in that interior though, so I will say that much. But the fact that it comes with that Lynx and it comes with the P-72, I really wish it just came with like a base Ursa, but I think coming with the luxury vehicle makes sense if you're going to use this for luxury touring. Now, I've since come to the realization that you're probably better off just getting the 400i, or I'm sorry, not the 400i, the 600i touring, because it's just a little bit more, but the 600i touring is going to be a little bit better looking than the Constellation Phoenix. However, I do think this will be the rarer option because it is stock limited. I don't think as many people will have the Connie Phoenix. So it's a little weird in that way. And also, I think unless the G12 comes out with a fully like luxury variant, the Lynx is the only vehicle that is fully luxury oriented. So how are you going to get people to your ship? How are you going to get these NPCs most likely, which will be your VIPs that you would be doing your luxury touring with? How are you going to get them to and from your vehicle? They're not going to want to ride in the back of a basic Ursa or in the back of a Nova tank. They're going to want that premium experience all the way to the ship and all the way from the ship. So something to think about. But also it has amazing guns, amazing defenses. It's got personal defense, what are they, cannons or something like that? The little guns that automatically shoot down missiles and stuff like that. It's the only variant that has that. So that's what the price is for. I don't think it's overpriced, but I do think it shouldn't be a limited ship. I do think it should just be sold, because the biggest issue with this ship is that you cannot upgrade to it, and that's what keeps a lot of people from buying it, which is also why it'll be rare. So the one thing you can do is you can buy this in a pack, whether it's I think the RSI pack, which is probably very expensive. Oh, it's not as expensive as I thought. Let's check this out real quick. Let's see, all of those. You get the Galaxy, the Lynx, Mantis, Orion, Perseus, Polaris. This actually might be one of the few packs that might actually be worth it. Yeah, thinking of the price, we've got these both are around 700. Well, combined, these are like $700 each. That's $1,400, then $650, or is this $700 now? I can't remember, but either way, somewhere around $700. Now we're at what? That's $2,100. And then this is almost $400. So now you're at $2,500. Each one of these is about $2 something. So let's say you're at $3,000. And then you got each one of these, so $4,000, and then plus all the little other ships. Some of these are $200. Yeah, I mean, you're probably not saving that much, but the biggest thing here is look what you get without doing the F5 Wars, the Phoenix. And mind you, you're getting a bunch of Ursa. You get an Ursa with 3 of these, or no, you get an Ursa with 2 of these, and then you get a Lynx with them. Then you get 2 P-52s, and then you get a P-72. So you're getting all of that with these ships. So you got to remember that. Not to mention, you get an extra Ursa added to that. So yeah, I mean, this is these are the ones that kind of kill it a little bit for me, the Auroras. However, they would stand as LTI tokens that you can upgrade to something else. But getting LTI on all of these things can be done in other ways, except for the Phoenix. So that's the one thing about this pack, is it is a very unique way to get LTI on a Constellation Phoenix. There is another way, whereas if you go to it was either 2948 or 2950, they had a Nomad that gave LTI to anything you upgraded, but then you have to get the pack, the Stella Fortuna version of the Constellation Phoenix, which is the it's $450, and then it comes with a few other ships, but it also comes with the Emerald version of the Constellation Phoenix, which is the version that I will have in my fleet, and then you upgrade one of the other ships and it gives LTI to the whole pack. It's very convoluted, but the idea is it's difficult to get LTI on the Constellation Phoenix unless you already have one from when it was originally sold. But outside of that, yeah, it's a limited ship. Probably shouldn't be, but it is what it is. The Constellation Aquila, so a lot of people think of this as their best version of the ship, and now that you can get it for $290, $290 is about what I think it's worth, actually. It's a really good ship. All of these ships has 4 size 5 weapons that fire. This one, the reason a lot of people like this one is because it comes with the P-52 and it comes with the Ursa, so you don't have to purchase anything. This is the, I bought it, I can go out and use it day one, don't need anything extra type of ship. And it is an exploration ship. It has the more dedicated exploration stuff. The only thing, like I say, about all these Connies is they all need an interior rework. And this is the gunship. This is the one you get if you just want to go pew pew. But all of these have 4 beds, every single one of them, except for the Phoenix, which has, it has 3 extra beds, but one of those beds can fit 2 people, if I'm not mistaken. So this one technically has 8 beds, or 8 people can sleep on this thing, which I find another reason why it's a little bit more expensive. A lot of people don't think about that, but yeah. You got your gunship here, depending on what you need for your, I think everybody can find a reason to put one of these in their fleet, because you'll either need the gunship with the medium freight, which I believe it carries 96, plus it comes with the Ursa rover. Or you get the Aquila, which comes with the P-52, and it comes with the Ursa rover. So you're getting the 2 ships. Again, 4 beds, and it's for exploration. And then you get the Phoenix if you're more interested in the luxury variant. Or if you are, this could be a command and control ship if you need 8 beds. Think about it. You got a P-72 in the back, which people can take out and go down and do whatever they need to do. It's got an Ursa rover, so you can send people out on missions. Well, it's got a Lynx rover, so you can send people out on missions in that. And it's got 8 beds, and it's probably the smallest ship with 8 beds. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that is the smallest ship that can sleep 8 people. So it has other uses. I know a lot of people are down on the Connie Phoenix, but if you look hard enough, if you study the ships hard enough, you can find uses for it. And with the PDCs, you don't need every turret manned all the time, and that's also really cool for it. So yeah, and then the Taurus is the base variant. This is the largest solo hauler that I would convince anybody to get. This is the only one that I would say you could solo this and not have too many problems. Now, do I suggest that you solo it? No, but it is the only one where if I found out you were soloing it, I wouldn't be angry at you. But I do think you should have at least 2 people in any ship that's larger than a small ship. So that's just a good rule to go by, at least 2 people. But yeah, it's totally soloable. The Galaxy. All right, so I think a lot of people think I dislike this ship because I keep talking about how I took it out of my fleet. I don't dislike the Galaxy. It's one of my favorite looking ships. Like, I love the way the Galaxy look. I was so hyped about the Galaxy. I just don't need it because my fleet is so freaking large that I just can't find a spot for it without literally forcing it in. And I'm already forcing in a Terrapin medevac, and I'm forcing in something else. I can't even remember what else I'm forcing in, but I'm forcing something else in. I think an A2. So I can't keep forcing ships in to my fleet. So I forced 2 other ships in. So, you know, I probably only got 1 left to force in, or else I'm gonna have to start, you know, getting rid of other ships. I can't spend that force in slot for a Galaxy. I have to save it for something else. I hear there's an Anvil Paladin coming, so there you have it. But the Galaxy is a good ship. Go look at my review. My review definitely talks about some of the issues that I found with the Galaxy, but it also talks about the great things that the Galaxy provides. I think it's a deep space ship, or it's for people who have smaller fleets who don't want to purchase all these other, you know, ships just to get that utility out of it. It's really a really good ship, I think, for deep space, because you can take it and you can take all of its modules, take them all out with you, and now you have 4 ships, the utility of 4 ships in deep space, without having to drag all those ships around. And then you could just, you know, swap the modules. Now, I don't know what's going to be required to swap the modules, so it may not work out that well if you don't have an ability to swap those modules, but at least you have the modules with you. And then maybe that's what you have to focus on, is making sure you have the ability to swap those modules. So maybe you have to build a hangar, a repair hangar, construction hangar, or something like that. But yeah, at $380, I think it's appropriately priced. It has 4 modules: the medical, the cargo, the refinery, and medical, cargo, refinery, and I think it's supposed to get the construction module, and it's going to get a manufacturing module, which I think are going to be 2 different modules, if I'm not mistaken. But we know that the construction module has been pushed way down the line, so if you were thinking about getting it just for that, you're probably better off with the Starlancer BLD, which I did a review about. But if you need it for any of the other 2 purposes, I think that's what you should get it for. But I think you should only get it if you need it for at least 2 purposes. If you only getting it for a medical, I'm gonna wonder why you didn't get an Endeavor Hope, which is maybe, I think $70 total, more than this, but it is a full-blown hospital. So if you only needed it for medical, I'm not sure why you wouldn't just get the full-blown hospital, because at this size, they're like, the Endeavor is gonna be much larger, don't get me wrong, but at this size, I don't think you're making that big of a difference. And for $70 more, the value is just much better with the Endeavor. And then if you only need it for a refinery ship, I'm gonna ask, why don't you have an Expanse, or why don't you have an Arrastra? Because Arrastra is gonna do that a little bit better than this. Well, they have the same size refinery, but the ability to take that, to store that and go with it, on top of the fact that it can mine, and it's just, to me, it's a slightly better version of this ship with like the refinery. And I do think they're gonna use the same parts to build both. Yeah, and so on and so forth, right? If you need a cargo ship, there's better cargo ships. There's cheaper cargo ships. The Caterpillar, right? So I'm just saying, in general, it's a good ship, but the thing is, you need to have use for at least 2 of the modules for it to be worth it, in my book. The Lynx, I kind of talked about this before. This isn't a ship that I expect anybody to purchase on its own, unless you just absolutely love the look of it and that's just your thing. But if you're buying things for the look of it, then you're probably not interested in a buyer's guide like mine anyway, because I'm really talking more so about the value and the utility, not just value, because sometimes utility and value don't necessarily match. But yeah, this is a really cool looking ship. I really wish I wish they had a variant to it that was more Ursa based, where you get the exterior look of the Lynx, but then you get the utility of the Ursa. I would love that, but they don't have that yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was somebody's onboarding thing later on. But yeah, it's until the G12 comes out, this is really your only option for luxury transport as far as vehicles. So you really just got to do what you got to do. It's got the 2 seats in there. It's got the nice window that they can look out of. It's got little champagne stands and stuff. It's got little screens for people that are VIPs. And the crew part is completely closed off. The only time they see you is when you're going in and out of the plane. It's kind of like when you're on, or in and out of the plane, in and out of the cockpit area or the driver's area. It's kind of like when you're on a plane and the cockpit is shut off from the rest of everybody that's flying, except obviously this is a vehicle. So I really like it, but I do think it is very limited in purpose. I think it's for people who want to do luxury transport to get their VIPs to and from the ship, and also, to go out and do a little bit of exploring without it being too dangerous. I do think you should have it fully crewed if you do that, which means you need at least 2 people. And I also think this ship can be used, again, I talk about this a lot, but the command and control aspects, because it has the 2 screens in the back, it's the only vehicle, if I'm not mistaken, that has those 2 screens in the back where you can do other things. And I don't know what those screens are going to be capable of, but I could see this being a very useful ship for command and control people to kind of, that need to be in a vehicle and need to be on ground. I could see this being a very useful ship for them as well. So I do think there's other utilities to it. Go and watch my review if you need a little bit more on the vehicle. The Mantis, the only one with a quantum snare, so it's automatically worth its price. I really don't have a lot of bad things to say about it. It has a nice little interior to it, which I didn't know until I did my review. So it has a nice little interior. It can stop people in their tracks exactly like it says. it's going to aggro a lot, which means it's going to attract a lot of attention. If you stop somebody, they're going to shoot at you first. They're not going to care who else is around you. They are going to come for you because you're blocking their ability to escape. So just know that it's an aggro ship, but at $150 and being the only ship that can do what it can do, I have no notes. I love the way it looks. I think it's a great ship as far as what it can do now. I just can't wait till other ships get quantum snares so I can compare them to something. The Orion. So me and as well as pretty much every info runner agrees that the Orion is going to make the most money out of any ship that is in the game. It's going to be an absolute money printing machine. It can basically chew an entire asteroid, separate everything from that asteroid, and then refine everything from that asteroid, store it in these gigantic boxes, and it's going to carry what? It was a massive amount of SCU of that. And then it's going to be able to, people are going to be able to come detach those boxes and take them to sell them or buy it directly from the Orion, you know, however that's going to work. And it's got a massive interior. It's got, I mean, this thing is just a money maker. It's going to do a lot. I think a lot of the mining work you can put on auto in this thing. I don't think any other mining ship will have the ability to just kind of set it on auto and then just have it chump up everything that's in front of it and just chunk every asteroid in front of it. Now, I don't know how much that'll work on its own, how much the player input you'll have, but if this thing can eat an entire asteroid, that doesn't seem too hard. So if all you got to do is just move the asteroid in front and have it go chump, I mean, that seems pretty easy to me. So I have one of these. It's in the fleet. If you'll notice, I think I have more RSI ships than any other manufacturer. It's either RSI, MISC, or Drake. But yeah, I have. We'll go back and count, but I definitely have one of these in the fleet. I think anybody who's going to even if it's your tertiary thing, if you're into larger ships, if you have the money, buying an Orion, I think even at $650, it's going to go up in price. And I think we're starting to learn our lessons when it comes to prices. The Pioneer went up on price. Everybody was saying buy it last year because we knew it was going to go up on price. The Orion went up in price last year, and we told everybody multiple years before that to get an Orion before it went up in price. Everything is going up in price. So as we get closer to the release of the game, expect these prices to go up. CIG always said that the prices were going to go up the closer they got to release, and they are coming through on that promise. So if you want an Orion, if you're on the fence about it and you have the money, this is the best time to buy. Now, you don't have to purchase it outright. You could just get an upgrade to it. So you'd want to go with a $625 ship. I can't name one of those right now, but I know there's a $625 ship out there. So yeah, you can get that, and $625 up to, it's a $25 CCU, and then you lock in the price at least. And if you change your mind later, you can just melt that. But yeah, that's why we say buy the upgrades. If you're not sure, at least buy the upgrade to lock in the price. You can melt it into your buyback or whatever you have to do, but just buy that so that you can save on that price. You can keep that price exactly where it needs to be. So that's my advice for that. The Perseus did not go up in price. I thought it would, but here we go. We're about to do another warning. Are you ready? The Perseus, they confirmed that the Perseus, now we were looking in the blue void to try to figure out which ships are which, but they confirmed this one. They confirmed that the Perseus is coming, well, that they're working on it in the next 12 to 18 months. The Perseus might be the most, outside of maybe the Banu Merchantman, I think the Perseus might be the most anticipated large ship since the Polaris. I think the Polaris was the only one that was anticipated more. So this might just be the second most anticipated ship in all of Star Citizen right now. So when it comes out, better believe that price is going up. I'm gonna guess that it's gonna go up to $750. It could go up higher, but I don't think so, considering that the Polaris is going up. The Polaris, I think, is next, so we're gonna find out exactly how much that went up. Actually, let's just see it right now. Woo! $975. Oh, man. That is more than I thought. That is more than I thought. So that means the upgrade is going to be like 850. So 850 war bond. 850 war bond. Whoo! 850. I thought what would happen is I thought it would go up to 950, not 975. That's $25 more expensive than I thought. Wow. Okay, so there you have it. This ship, it went up $100 for war bond, but it went up $125 for credits. So there you have it. Wow. Wow. That's a lot of money. You notice that they're just avoiding that 1,000 mark, so they don't have to give LTI though. So CIG, we see you, we know what you're doing. Just give us the ability to purchase LTI. It's not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, I mean, we'll still have other ships we can't, but I mean, if we have a ship that's above 750 and we're concierge, just let us buy LTI. In fact, I think you get more people who are willing to jump to concierge just so they could buy LTI for their larger ships, which means you're gonna make more money. I'm just saying. I mean, anytime you want me to help you figure out how to sell more stuff, I got you, CIG. Anyway, back to the Perseus. The Perseus has the ability to carry around an Ursa rover. It doesn't have any medical things, but you can just put an Ursa medevac on it, which I think most people will anyway. Now it has a medical bed. And of course, one of the things about it, its nose is not used to break through ships. This is just some cool image where they just showed they had just destroyed a hammerhead and they were flying through it. But that does kind of tell you that they want this thing to be able to do what's in that image. So if you're going against the hammerhead, mind you, hammerheads are not built to fight subcapitals or anything anyway. So don't think of this as, oh, it can beat a hammerhead, it's so much better. No, because the hammerhead is meant to fight fighters, and it will be better at fighting fighters than the Perseus. The Perseus is meant to destroy large ships. That's what its main purpose is. But it does have the ability to go all the way down to, I'd say, like the medium size as far as its ability to fight ships as well. Fighters are what's going to be its weakness. But it is a very large ship, and it will be a very defensive ship if the looks of it and the way people talked about it have anything to go by. So very good ship. I own one. Like I said, I'll count at the end how many RSI ships I own. And if you've been following me, you probably can figure out what's in my fleet at this point, and what's going in my fleet. So by the time I do that fleet video, you'll kind of have it figured out. But that's okay. If you want to do that work, that's cool. But I'll save it until the fleet video. Because there might be some surprises in there. You never know. Anyway, the Perseus, I think, is an excellent ship. I think I did a Polaris versus Perseus video, and that was really just to be able to say at the end that they really shouldn't be compared. But if you're going to pick between the two, it was the Polaris. Now with the Polaris's price increase, it's probably the Perseus because of the value. But yeah. I would, like I said, the warning is, buy the Perseus or at least get a CCU to it. There's plenty of $650 ships that you can get, that $25, and then that locks in the price, because the Perseus's price, I would say it'll go up next IAE, unless they release it for Invictus. So actually, yeah, I would, if you get the opportunity to get it at Invictus, I would get this now, because it's very possible that the price for this goes up at Invictus. And I do think it'll go up 75 bucks. The Polaris. Oh my goodness. What have they done? So we all know the Polaris is amazing in game now that we have it in game. However, I have still yet to grace the doors and the halls of my Polaris, because I've been waiting it. I've been savoring it. I've been waiting for the Polaris for quite a while, so I've been savoring it. I didn't want to rush it because I was trying to do a video of it. I didn't want to do that. I want to take my time, and it's going to be a very long video. When I release my Polaris video, it's going to be very long. I'm going to go through every hall. I'm going to sniff the textures virtually, and it's going to be great. But the Polaris, if you can't already tell from the way I'm talking about it, is an excellent ship. It's one of the best ships in the entire game. It used to be one of the best values in the game. Now it's appropriately priced. But before, it was one of the best values in the game. It was the cheapest. Combat-ready capital ship in the entire game. Now I think it's going to have some competition, but either way, even at the current price, I still think if you're looking for something that's a little different than the Idris and you're not willing to spend that money on the Javelin, it's going to beat all the other ships in its class. It's going to beat out the Hammerhead, the Perseus, the Nautilus. It's going to beat out all of those. So yeah, what do you need it for? It's mainly, it's good at shooting capital ships, and it's good at destroying fighters, but everything in between can give it a little bit of run for its money. But most of the time, you're gonna have a difficult time taking down a Polaris. It doesn't really matter what you bring, you're gonna have a difficult time. Kind of the same way as an Idris, you would have a difficult time with as well. I think they brought the Polaris up to the Idris level, whereas before it was clearly below the Idris. And I kind of saw that coming. So when I kept saying, you know, I'll take the Polaris over an Idris, unless I'm very limited in the amount of ships I can take, then I would take an Idris. Like I said the other day, if I could only have 4 ships, the Polaris, I would get the Idris instead of the Polaris. But that's only if I could only get 4 ships, right? But in every other scenario, I'm taking the Polaris. So that's what I think about it. Great ship, great interior, has a hangar, has size 10 torpedoes. I mean, it's got everything you need in a ship. So it's a win. Yeah, if you got this ship, if you're wondering whether I think you should buy this ship, if you have the money, of course, it's a yes. The Scorpius. Now, they're really trying to pair the Scorpius with the Polaris. I think that's the idea of the Scorpius, was that they created this obviously to kind of look like an X-Wing, you know, that with the S-foil locks and things like that. But I think the primary thing with this ship was that they wanted it to be able to fit in a Perseus or in a Polaris, and it can. And we could talk about the Scorpius Antares as well, which the secondary seat in that one I think is kind of useless, which is why I think we kind of skip over it. But it is $10 cheaper. But they will fix that with some editing, with balancing. So. This is to disable and subdue. So this is your more bounty hunter variant, and this one is your fighter. I would go with the base Scorpius, which I don't know if you can call it the base, because they're like true variants, or what do you call it? True hull swaps or something? I don't know what you call it. But they are different ships. The Scorpius, it has a great weapons loadout. It has the coolest turret in the entire game because it like swaps down and comes all the way down to the bottom and shoots. It's extremely cool. You notice that's a trend with RSI ships, having the moving turret, which I think is really cool. That's like a dedicated, you know, manufacturer thing. You know, it's like a signature thing. I think it's becoming for RSI. I think it's a great ship. It's a 2-person ship, which is what I love about it. So imagine you taking 2 people, putting them in a Scorpius, and then they go out and do the heavy fighter thing while you're blasting at ships with your Polaris. So it's really good in that role. But I also know that a better combination is available if you're willing to spend a little bit more money, because I can imagine putting 1 person in an F8C and then 1 person in a Razor EX or in a Fury or in a P-72 and having even more firepower than just putting a Scorpius in the back. So what I hope they do in the Scorpius is I think they need to up its I think they need to up its firepower just a smidge. Whether it's, you know, doing a triple turret, upping the guns on the wings 1 size, or making it come standard with better weapons. Whatever they do, I do think it needs just a little bit more to really hold its own in a space where for $60 more you can get an F8C, which has more firepower and only requires 1 person. So that's the thing about the Scorpius. But again, the F8C requires you to get that token and or that golden ticket. So That's the only thing. It's limited in that way, and it's only for sale, I think, twice a year. So there's your thing. Unless they do that event again. They might do that event again. Continuing on, the Antares, same thing with the base Scorpius, except this is for the subdue. I do think I was a little disappointed that it didn't have a quantum snare or something like that, considering the price. I think there's better ships you can get that can disable and subdue. However, this is a two-seater, so I do think you'll have a little bit of an easier time. It's just, you got to kind of figure out what you want there. I do think they need to work on the maneuverability and the speed on this one. I think it should either be fast or it should have something else. I think it's missing something to make me choose an Antares over other ships that can disable and subdue. The Ursa. So we got to talk about, so the Ursa is $50. The Ursa Medevac 60. Yeah, let's talk about these two. We'll talk about the Zeuses all at the same time. The Ursa is the vehicle that most people should be aspiring to get. The Ursa has 4 seats in the back, or if you don't need the 4 seats in the back, you can flip those seats up and fit 2 SCU in the back, 2 full SCU in the back of it. Not to mention, it has a very nice gun up top. It has 2 crew that can sit in the front seats. I mean, the thing is awesome. It has little storage components in it. It's very durable. It's an all-around just great vehicle to be in. Now, imagine I'm saying all of that, and then you get the exact same thing in an Ursa Medevac minus the 4 seats, but you are not minus 4 seats. You instead of the 4 seats, you get 1 seat, and then you get a medical bed in the back, but it still has everything else. Like it's crazy to me how useful an Ursa Medevac is. It adds any ship that can fit an Ursa now has a medical bed because you can put an Ursa in it. And yeah, I think that's incredible because you can respawn from this tiny $60 vehicle. It just costs $60 to add a med bed to any ship. Now the C8R technically had already done that, but the C8R doesn't fit in as many places as the Ursa does, which is why the Ursa Medevac is king. Now, why would you get the Ursa instead of the Ursa Medevac? Well, if your ship already has medical beds, there's your first one. If my ship already has medical beds, I don't need an Ursa Medevac. I'd rather have the 2 SCU and 4 extra 4 seats of the base Ursa and save the $10. So there's your argument for both. They both are great. I think the Ursa Medevac is probably the #1 vehicle that most people should actually pay money for. I have 5 vehicles on my list, and you're probably counting them up at this point, that I think are worth purchasing with real money, and the Ursa Medevac is one of them. So there you have it. The Zeus CL, the Zeus ES, and the Zeus Mark II MR. Now, out of these 3, I think the MR is the one to get. It's the only one that's not in game yet, but now that we know what the interiors look like, I'm a little down on both of these. Now, don't get me wrong, I think they're good ships. I think my score on them was premature because from what it sounded like they were going to be able to do and what their interiors were going to look like and what their capabilities were going to be, I think I just expected a little bbit more. But now that I know the cargo layout of this one, even though it has an extremely cool, probably the coolest tractor beam out of all ships, the Zeus CL has. And then this one, I'm a little bit more impressed with than the CL. And then there is the MR, which I think is the best of the 3. But the CL, I think, is for people who need a specific amount of cargo that they need to take with them, right? Like I have an amount of cargo that I want to bring with me, and I want, you know, when I bring this cargo with me, I know it's a specific amount, like 100 and I think it's 128 it can bring, but it's going to take you a little bit longer to load it because you kind of got to Lego in those last few boxes. But if you know that's how much cargo you need, great. But the biggest draw to this is that it has that tractor beam and it has multiple beds for crew, and the internal layout is just incredible. There's so much packed in there. It's a little cramped, but there's so much packed in there that you can tell that this is your min-maxing ship, right? Biggest drawback is that it does not fit a Ursa Medevac, and it does not have a medical. It doesn't have a medical. So That's a big drawback for it, and none of these variants can fit that. I think the CL would have been a good place to kind of open up the mouth a little bit and allow that one to take the Ursa medevac or an Ursa rover, because that would have changed the game a little bit. But they wanted to keep the Freelancer Max in play, and the Freelancer Max is supposed to be the smallest ship that can fit an Ursa. So that's where they went with it. But it's still a good ship. It's just it's going to require a little bit more patience. But me personally, I'd rather take half the cargo and get the C1, which is faster, a little tougher, and I think you're going to do better in a fight with. And then if I need more cargo than that, I'm probably jumping all the way up to a Taurus, because for $25 more, I can get 200 SCU of cargo, 4 size 5 weapons, a little bit less speed and a little bit less maneuverability. But I mean, for 70, what is that? 72 more SCU of cargo plus a massive size upgrade to all the guns and 4 beds instead of 3. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer to me. And that's kind of where this one lost out at. The ES, however, is a really good daily driver, and that's what I think is going to be unique about the ES. Out of these 3 variants, is this one's going to be a really good daily driver. And because it's going to be a good daily driver, I think that's where this one really is going to shine. Now, it's obviously an exploration vehicle, but even if you don't plan on using it for that, it's a go anywhere, point A to point B, pick up some stuff, take it with you. I mean, bring a few friends along type of vehicle. It's a really cool ship for that specific purpose. Now, if you're trying to use it as your dedicated exploration ship, I probably have some questions about that too, because I do think there's probably a better one just below and a better one just above. But I'm not upset with you if you got it. I just think there's a slightly better options out there. But yeah, I talked about that all in my my review of all 3 of these. I did them all in one video, so go check that out. The MR, it has a small little armory in it, if I'm not mistaken. The only thing I was upset about is that it didn't have a quantum snare, but you know, having that quantum enforcement device, you know, this is one of the going to be one of the best interdiction ships and bounty hunting ships, I think, in the game. It's just and we just need to know what the layout's going to finally be, because I do think this ship is going to shine above the other 2 as the best version of the Zeus. I love the way the ship looks. This, if I was going to get a Zeus, this would be the one I would get. I don't have an interdiction ship, so it's one, but I also don't have a need for an interdiction ship. So it's kind of interesting with this one. It's one of the ships I want, but I don't need. So if I did end up getting it, it would be way far in the future. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with that. The Apollo medevac is the one we started with. So yeah, that's it for this one. This one was a long one. I didn't anticipate it being that long, but there's RSI is one of the largest manufacturers, and of course we had to talk about the Polaris and that price change. So yeah, this is kind of a skippable war bond. The RSI complete pack, I think, is if you really like RSI, it does have a lot. RSI does have a lot of useful ships. If you don't like everything in the pack, you know, you can go for it, but I generally say I'm against packs, unless you're going for like those massive Praetorian packs or whatever that save you like 30% right off the bat. Yeah, so good day, not a great day for RSI, because the war bond could have been better. The Polaris price could have been a little cheaper, but I see what they were doing. Yeah, but it's a great day to pick up any of these ships. Oh, I forgot, I need to do my count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 out of 25 of these. 8 out of 25. That is a lot for one manufacturer. So there you have it. I have 8 RSI vehicles. Yeah, that's a lot. All right, so tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is Argo Day. Now, what I'm thinking is the Argo CSV SM, but I'm also hoping that they at least allow us to purchase the, I'm hoping they at least allow us to purchase the FM tomorrow. But one thing somebody told me about the SRV, because I really want, I'm trying to talk myself into getting an Argo ship, but I kind of just talked myself out of getting the raft. So the next one on the list is the SRV, if I was going to get one of them. And the SRV, being able to move rocks and other things, not just for the towing of ships, but towing other things, I think might be a reason. So I'll talk about that tomorrow. But I'm hoping that they have a new ship available. And also, of course, the Atlas will be available to purchase as well, which is, you know, I don't think you can get it with LTI anymore, but it's a great thing to just purchase outright if you know that you're going to have some ships without tractor beams and you like tractor beams. I do think it's going to end up being the coolest way to move cargo. Absolutely, you can do it with your handheld, but yeah, we'll talk about that stuff tomorrow. But Consolidated Outland Day, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. It is Argo Day, Consolidated Outland Day, Gray Cat Day, and Kruger Day. My mistake. It's all four, and that's most likely because they don't have they don't have that many ships. I think Consolidated Outland has 6, but 4 of those are variants. Argo has 4, Gray Cat has 3, if I'm not mistaken, and Kruger has 2. So I see why they put all those together in the same day. The Pioneer, tomorrow's Pioneer Day. So I'm telling you now, 11 a.m. Eastern time, be ready. Have multiple devices, have your time correct, you know, check that time on every device and be ready. If you're going for credits, be ready. We still don't know if it's going to go up in price. Oh, well, we do actually. They did mention that it's going up in price. So you already know it's going up in price. And then, of course, good luck. Good luck to you all. I have mine, so I no longer need the good luck, not at least that day, but I will need it the next day. I will need it on this day. We shall see. We shall see what happens. We shall see. But Drake Day, I will need all of the lucks. So I will let you know now. Tomorrow, that episode is going to be out fairly early, but the Drake episode, that one might be out very late that day. So I'm just going to let you know because I have to participate in some F5 wars. So just letting you know now. But then we'll be good. At least until Anvil Day, because I don't know if this thing is going to launch on Anvil Day as far as our ability to buy it. But that Paladin, if it's a big ship, you know how I feel about big ships. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that is it for this one. I appreciate everybody for watching this hour-long video, which I did not anticipate was going to be that long. But hey, it happens sometimes, especially on an RSI day. You know, this is what we do. So yeah, shout out to the members and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.